feels her soul awaken to the call of emotions she cannot name. This is the Twilight world, where half-forgotten memories of childhood lead into a fantastic realm.
Was it a wolf or a man you killed?
When I killed it, it was a wolf. It turned into a man.
Here, dreams become reality, and our darkest fantasies come true.
The worst kind of wolves are hairy on the inside, and when they bite you, they drag you with them to hell.
Oh! Where's my daughter? Where did you come with my daughter?
She ran away!
They say the Prince of Darkness is a gentleman.
Gentlemen always keep their promises.
What have you done with my granddaughter?
Nothing she didn't want.
The Company of Wolves, where fairy tales end and nightmares begin. The Company of Wolves.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to day 8 of 31 Days of Monsters. I'm your host, Graham Nolan. And today, as you see from that trailer, we're talking about The Company of Wolves, unfortunately. Now, let's start off on a positive note. This movie is still better than Wolfen. There was an influx of werewolf movies in the early to mid 1980s. And Wolfen and this one are not two of the best. That's for sure. This problem with this movie is, it's got a lot of great stuff going for it. We'll get to that, but let's get the negativity out of the way first. And the most obvious is the narrative. Is they're telling a story through a dream, and then in the dream you're telling other stories, so you don't know where you are. And then we get to the end and we come back to the present, because it started in the present, which, by the way, was an add-on that was not part of the original script, and it was a huge mistake. There's no resolution. This girl is in a fever dream, just like us watching this movie. It feels like a fever dream. It's obviously a Little Red Riding Hood metaphor, and there's some really cool stuff in here. I mean, Anton Furst's designs are amazing. If you don't know who he is, he designed Gotham City and all the designs for the first Batman movie in 1989. And most of this is shot on that set. There's very little, if any, outdoor scenes. I mean, really, really outdoor scenes. Other than the modern day stuff where you pull up in a car and all that. But the Anton Furst designs are amazing. It looks really, really cool. But as I said, we've got this 12-year-old girl having this fever dream. We don't know who she is, really. We don't know why she's having this dream. Her sister, who we first meet again in the modern day section, is sort of a bitch. We don't know why. We don't know why she didn't like her. And she's killed off in the dream, in this fever dream that she's having. And then we get to, Granny, the wonderful Angela Lansbury in this. And she is telling us and the little girl about wolves and the danger of wolves and the wolves that have the hair on the inside and all this kind of stuff. And those little vignettes, those little stories that she's telling, because then we cut to them as she's telling them, are kind of cool. It's there's some really cool there's some interesting special effects. They're not Rob Bottin level or any of the great stuff that came out in the 80s, but there's some cool stuff. Certainly better than what we saw in Wolfen. We get to see faces peeling off and snouts coming out of faces and all that. It's fun. But that's the problem with it is that the choices of storytelling, and then when we come back to the future or to the modern day, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm sitting there waiting for some kind of resolution, and then there's a recitation of I think it's something from Little Red Riding Hood, the original text, and the credits start to roll. I'm like, what the heck is that? I looked at Julie, and I'm like, what just happened? What did we just watch? Because, as I said, it was fun to watch at first, and then we get to the end. So this is not one of the great ones, unfortunately, but that's the beauty of doing 31 Days of Monsters and watching stuff we haven't seen yet, is that we can watch this stuff together and make fun of it or really pump it up. This is a 5, maybe a 4, I guess, is what I would grade it. It's not great. It could have been great. It has a shitty ending. Charlie Stevens said, this movie tried to be the Grey Poupon of werewolf movies. It was so 80s. It tried to be very existential, very fantastic. And had it started off that way, instead of trying to ground it in modern day, I think our suspension of disbelief would have gone a long way. Getting Rick Baker to do something on this would have helped too. But by putting that modern day framing around it, really lessens this movie a lot. So it was a disappointment. Not as disappointing as Wolfen, but still a disappointment. But you know what's not disappointing is seeing everybody in the chat. So let's start there with Rick 1662, Dan Genovese, and Rob Younce. JP Roca, Dragon Dancer is here. Rob Fellows, and Dino Palacio. Kino Reviews, Dennis Rodriguez, Chris Juliano, who comments that it's a bit too artsy. A little too artsy for its own good. One interesting thing is the character of Death, who pulls up in that Rolls Royce, was originally supposed to be Andy Warhol. And I guess Andy Warhol had been shot at this point. Somebody was trying to kill him or something like that. So he was very nervous about traveling. And he would only do the role if they shot it in New York. So the director called his friend Terrence Stamp and see if he would play the role. So Stamp said, sure, I'll do it. Just buy me a suit. So the director bought him a nice suit. And he did this role. When the credits came up in the beginning, Terrence Stamp is a big star. And I'm like, he shows up in that Rolls Royce. And I said to Julie, I said, hey, that's Terrence Stamp. I didn't see his name in the credits. And I looked at the end and his name's not in the credits there either. So he just did it for a pal, which was kind of cool. Our Enosh is here also, leg kick 1. And Rob Fellows, quote of the day, never trust a man whose eyebrows meet in the middle. That's probably a good life lesson there. Pussy Grabbers of America. Pussy Grabbers Unite. Okay, I fell for that one. Why is it so hard to make a simple, straightforward werewolf monster movie? Well, they did, prior to this one coming out in 1984, we had 1981's The Howling and American Werewolf in London, which are, good straight up werewolf movies. A Canon production. Rick 1662 is here. The only thing missing was Jim Henson's Muppets. Chris Juliano says to watch Dog Soldiers or Howl for good werewolf films. We did Dog Soldiers last year, I think. If not, it was the year before. Yeah, it was okay. Pity Mia is here. Education. Education says he might be kicked out of Ireland for this. But he prefers Wolfen. You're just showing your bias for Albert Finney there, Education. And he still did not make me believe he was from Staten Island. And Dino Palacio says, I saw all those werewolf movies as a child in the 80s. I don't remember them. Never has a movie shouted symbolism so loudly from every shot. Yeah. Good point. Kino Reviews wants to subject himself to this, and I say go for it, Kino. You're man enough for this. You'll be able to handle it. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. There's some fun stuff. It's got a good cast. I mean, it's got David Warner and of course Angela Lansbury in it. They're the two biggest stars. I don't know anybody else in this, but I think they're the headliners. Oh, and that guy from American Werewolf in London, who is in the bar, that bald guy with the accent like this, he's always angry. He's in this too. He plays this weird kid's. Oh, that's another thing. Let's talk about. There's this kid that likes the little girl, and he's got this giant head, and then he's got this big hair on the head. He's bow-legged. He looks like they hired a dwarf or something to play a kid. It's very, very odd. And then in the scene with the devil, where the Rolls Royce pulls up, and the devil gives this guy some kind of cream he puts on his chest, and hair grows out of his chest. It becomes a werewolf, I guess. Still don't know what that was about. It was one of those stories that the granny was telling. And anyway, that guy, really weird looking dude, just again, these giant, what I call movie heads, these people with these big heads, so that, and really small shoulders, so which really accentuates the size of these heads. It's one of these things I'm always looking at. You look at some of the old stars back when, close-ups were a big deal. And you'd have Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney, not big guys, but big heads. So they could stand next to big guys in a lot of those gangster movies like Barton McLean or somebody like that, and look like they're, one could be standing on a box, and they look like they match up to each other, because these giant heads. So funny. I look for giant heads, and I look for lifts in shoes too. Ever since watching Alan Ladd movies. In Shane, he's going up against Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, cowboy actor in lots of John Wayne films. And John Wayne was 6'4". Ben Johnson was probably 6'2". And Alan Ladd was like 5'6". So, in the close-ups, you see Alan Ladd and Ben Johnson, they're practically eye to eye. But you look at their belt buckles, and you see like Alan Ladd's belt buckles like up to here on Ben Johnson. The modern day stuff is you watch guys like Stallone and what's his name? Tom Cruise. They're like that too. All right. Uh-oh. Pity Ma says, I watched Salem's Lot again on Max, the original, going to watch the remake today. Oh, okay. He watched the original. All right. I've not heard good things about the remake, but it's on our list, and we're gonna muscle through it, folks. Well, thank you, Rob. I never regret choices on a 31 days list, even the occasional replacements. The shows are always entertaining. Well, thank you. That's what we're here for, just to have some fun. Bloody Drake says, this is the first one so far I didn't finish. Just struggled to get into it. Well, the beauty is you didn't have to pay for it either. You could watch it on Prime. Whereas, like, I had to rent Wolfen. That was $3.99. I'll never get back. Little Red Murder, She Wrote. Bloody Drake says. Yeah, actually, this was she filmed this in between. She was waiting for the green light to film the pilot for Murder, She Wrote. Angela Lansbury, that is. Past Master Dan is here. He says nothing says quality like Golden Globus. Yep. Kino Reviews likes Wolf with Jack Nicholson. That was okay. Ireland is a tough crowd. Well, we're a melancholy people, my friend. You need to be fully plastered to enjoy this or Wolfen. So, yeah, plastered, I think I'd fall asleep, but I think it might have to be high for this one because of all the symbolism. I think you can watch Dog Soldiers on YouTube. It's I've seen it somewhere. It might be on Shudder as well. Okay, I think I covered everybody here and said hello to the gang. Alrighty. Let me just where's my list? Let's pop the list up here and see what we have on for tomorrow. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's from Dusk Till... Yes, it is. It's Dusk Till Dawn, the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez film. So that one's definitely going to be a little bit more fun for you guys to watch. You've got, you know, that's one of those movies that changes gears on you. If you went into that movie back in 1994, somewhere around there when it came out, it genre flips on you, and I like that kind of stuff. I like when you go into it as one thing and it changes on you. So yeah, so that's what we got for tomorrow, my friends. Like Kick One says, Dog Soldiers is on Freevee and Tubi. Blah, blah. It's easy for me to say. So you can watch that one for free. It's okay, you know. It's not bad. So that's it, my friends. Tomorrow we will see from Dusk Till Dawn, and until then, you guys have a great day.